Hello everybody, welcome back to Uncommon Sense, and a special warm welcome to those of you who are tuning in for the very first time. Our program Uncommon Sense is about real people in real life, how to live your life better, more successfully, with better relationships, and more heartfelt satisfaction. We appreciate the guests who come in and share their wit, their wisdom, and experience. With me today is Reverend Al Sharpton in our area to appear at Central Michigan University, and we welcome him. As an early youngster, I understand you like to talk, and you talked after a church service to your sister's dolls, where you more or less repeated the church sermon. Did you always have a good memory? Were you always drawn to talk?
Yeah, as far as I can remember, I always was able to retain what I heard and repeat it. I started around 3 years old during the Sunday morning sermon that my pastor, Bishop Washington, would preach back at home to my sister's dolls. And when I was 4, I started speaking publicly at the church. But I always had the ability to retain and to articulate what I retained. And I think that was a God-given gift.
It is a God-given gift. And you have that yet today?
Oh, yeah. Today, I think because I learned how to preach and do public speaking before I learned how to read and write, because this is before I was in first grade, less than kindergarten. Today, I do most of my speeches extemporaneously. In fact, the speech I'm probably more known for now at the Democratic Convention in 2004, most of it I did extemporaneously because I learned how to speak publicly before I learned how to read and write. So a manuscript, even if I write it, is kind of inhibiting to me.
What did it take to learn to speak that you learned at 3 or 4 years old?
I think you have to be inspired. I think you have to feel like you're saying something that you believe in.
Right.
I believe you should speak from the heart.
Right.
And I think you have to have enough courage to say it. I mean, I suppose when I was at that age, I didn't have enough sense to know you weren't supposed to be speaking at that age. So I was young enough that when I got old enough to find out it was odd for 3 and 4 years old kids to speak, that I was already doing it, so it didn't appear odd to me at all. I just did it, and I had the kind of mother that didn't try to stop me from doing it.
When your family had a certain setback, I understand, in your early years, and that changed your whole life for the worst. But when you come and had to go to the project, when you come from the projects, what are the things you learn? What did that give you? That
well,
you were
I had
able
a
to use?
very middle-class life until
Right.
I was 10, and my parents had a very traumatic separation.
Right.
So I went from a home that we owned and a 2-car garage and new cars every year to the housing projects. And what I learned in the housing projects that I probably would have never learned had I stayed in a more middle-class, secure environment is I learned how to survive. You learn to live on your wits. You learn to try and outthink others that are basically there also just trying to survive. The family structure and the community structure is a lot different. The services are a lot different.
Right.
And what I mean by that is when I was growing up in a home we owned, if you call the police, they came. If you sanitation trucks picked up the garbage every day. The projects, they don't. So you kind of learn how to deal with a whole different environment, which I think made me rebellious. Because unlike a lot of other youngsters in the project, I knew
the difference.
I knew the difference. I lived differently. So I knew they were supposed to pick up the garbage every day. I knew that the police supposed to come or the ambulance supposed to come when you call. So it gave me a sense of indignation at one level, but it also gave me an acute sense of survival and having to think on your feet and having to deal with all kinds of people.